killed them, damn near wrecked them. Is Nate broadcasting this or no?
Yeah.
Got. Relax, Jeff Gordon.
Good luck, everybody.
Man, that battle for third place on the front row right now.
It's been one great season with y'all.
I'll just try to be careful on the mountain.
Can't win on lap one.
Yeah, you can't win, lap one, but you can die.
Very true.
It can happen to you because it happened to me.
Green flag, green flag. coming up the hill. Gavin Stanbaugh continuing to pull away from Gregory Bush up to just under 3 seconds. A little bit less of a gain on that run as Gregory Bush seems to be holding about the same lap time. Gavin Stanbaugh falling back just a little bit, but there is enough of a gap that it doesn't hurt him. A little bit of a scrape off the wall right there from Gavin Stanbaugh. Not too many of those can this car take. You try to get a few more of those and it could ruin your steering, and that can hurt you on a track that is this reliant on a steering base. We see Jeremy Kitchen also end up pulling off. Not sure what's going on with that, but we're down to 4 cars in this circuit. We're seeing this circuit already claim its victims. Wesley Dunphy falling back to 7-second gap from Gregory Bush and a 10-second gap from Gavin Stanbaugh. Gavin, you can see just how clean he's running it out here. No real battles going on out here on track. Keeping a clean run down this straight. And just barely hear Gregory Bush in the background, trying to position himself so that way if Gavin makes any sort of large mistake, it'll be Greg's to take advantage of. Nicholas Camp rejoins, but ends up 2 laps down. Gavin Stanbaugh completes the lap at 2:11.904, growing his gap another half a second. Just trying to do his best to keep his nerves underway. See hard under the brakes before heading up the hill. Another little bump on that wall. It looks like the same spot for him. Looks like he's getting a little greedy in that section. That could end up hurting him later on in this run. Got about 12 to 13 minutes before we start seeing pit cycles. Jeremiah Vincent, our 4th place and last driver on track, doing his best to keep the car clean. All he's got to do is continue to keep clean running, and that'll give him a good 4th place finish. It won't be really for any sort of help in the point standings. He is in 5th place with the points, but quite a big gap up to Gregory Bush in points, so that's not going to help him out all that much. Gavin Stanbaugh continuing to run away with this. We've seen Gavin's run. Let's try to go along board with Gregory Bush as he crosses the finish line and see what exactly his view of this racetrack looks like. We'll go on board with a gyro on the roll bar so you can see just how much of the movement this car really has on a track like this. You see the car wobbling back and forth. This is a street circuit. This is a street track, so you can see the different deformations in the street like you would have on any street that any of you would drive. Hardening the brakes, you're going to feel all the G-force off to that left-hand side before heading back up the hill. Nicholas Camp has rejoined us, it looks like. No, I believe that's actually Jeremy Kitchen making a pass on Jeremiah Vincent. Not sure what happened there. You can see the G-force back and forth in this car as he crests the hill. Gregory Bush starting to head down the hill. getting as close as you can get to those walls. And then that section right here, these S's, you can't even see the corner until you're already in it. It's a point where you kind of got to memorize your line and already be ready for the next turn. That's a lot of time that these drivers have put in order to be this fast. All lap times have dropped about a second, except for Wesley Dunphy. Looks like he's actually running a tenth off of his fastest lap. Doing a good job to stay consistent. He is shrinking that gap. Already cut half a second off to catch Gregory Bush. Gregory Bush has lost another 3/10 off of Gavin Stambaugh. Gavin Stambaugh out on a Sunday run. Hard into this section, through this chicane, back onto another straight. Looks like there's a lot of dirt on the track here. We'll jump back to our battle for fourth place here. Excuse me, fourth place. Jeremiah Vincent and Jeremy Kitchen running down that straight. Jeremy Kitchen does make a move to hold off Jeremiah Vincent. Jeremiah Vincent will shrink it back down behind. These two drivers battling for fourth. Jeremiah Vincent going to end up giving up fourth place to Jeremy Kitchen on that last lap. Jeremy Kitchen and Jeremiah Vincent both no front bumper. Both these two already have damage. Knock the fronts out of it. Both of them now battling just to keep as good of a finish as they can, as Jeremy Kitchen is ending up in fourth place, making the pass on that lap. Excuse me, no, that was the mistake there. Jeremy Kitchen rejoined in front of Jeremiah Vincent from his pit lane, so he was trying to fix it and already knocked it back out. Now Jeremy Kitchen deciding it's okay to let Jeremiah Vincent go through, as there's a 2-lap difference between these two on track. Nicholas Camp now 5 laps down from the main track. I believe he's just in pit lane. Nicholas Camp deciding just to sit in the pit lane. Not really sure what's going on with that. Wesley Dunphy actually taking some time off. Runs a 2:12.084. Cuts 7/10 off of his gap there. Starting to make some movement. Wesley Dunphy's a smart driver. He might have a situation here and a plan in order to work his way up to the front. So we see this back half of the field. This isn't for position, but they are battling against each other in this section. One wrong move could end the entire race for both of them. You can see how loose these cars are, though, with no front aero. We'll jump on with Wesley Dunphy as he looks to try to make some improvement. Ends up losing a little bit on that lap. Gavin Stambaugh pushing it back down to the low 211, so he's decided to put a little bit more pressure on these drivers behind him to run fast laps. Thinking that 6 seconds is not quite enough of a gap in order to win this race. Could end up biting him in the long run. We will see how it turns out. Wesley Dunphy doing a good job of keeping it clean, although, like we were talking about with Gavin Stambaugh, that that red left-hander right there, we've seen Gavin Stanball put a lot of time between these drivers by just being so close to these walls. That might be the difference here and why Wesley Dunphy is holding it back. Although Wesley Dunphy keeping a consistent lap time, it's going to be a matter of seeing if that works out in the long run for him. He's only about 12 seconds behind in this track, but with it being a 2-minute and 12-second lap time, that's not a lot. It could end up coming into play for the win. Wesley Dunphy is a smart driver, and he's going to know that this race isn't going to be won just on sheer speed alone. You see that pit lane entrance right there. It goes through a couple S's to get onto that straight. You can see them, and then into that long pit entrance or pit cycle. So getting into your pit box has to be kind of perfect, and we have seen some seconds get made up on the entrance exit. And then Wesley Dunphy has been one of the best drivers on cold tires this year, so that might work out for him. He could take off about 5 or 6 seconds if he really nails it and the driver in front of him can't. See if that comes into play. Those 3 drivers are really the only 3 putting on some good times. Jeremiah Vincent about 2 to 3 seconds off pace. Gavin Stanball dropped down to a 2:12.4, and Gary Bush with a 2:12.5 that lap. Gregory Bush did put about 4/10 on Wesley Dunphy that lap, though, so that's not going to help him. Let's ride along with Wesley Dunphy on that gyro cam so we can see a little more of how this is working going across this. You can see as you kind of hop the car across that crest. Wesley Dunphy is one of the drivers who has done the best this year. With him being in first place points, he has done the best at controlling this car and really maximizing what you can get out of it. He's had a couple of rough races here and there, but really at the beginning of the season has separated himself and has carried that all the way till now. At the beginning of the season, Stuart Reese was really the only one that was able to challenge him, and not ending up able to do anything here, so coming into the chicane section, hard on the brakes, going through the gears before getting back on throttle, kind of doing the best through this tiny little section right here, getting on throttle before the other drivers, showing why he is the points season leader. Little bit of tire wear coming out of that, getting on throttle a little too soon. Doing a good job of controlling it, but that will burn your tires up in a track that is this difficult. That does come into play. Gavin Stanball only runs a 2:11.7, so that'll end up continuing to build his lead to Gregory Bush. Greg can only run a 2:11.5. Wesley Dunphy cuts off 1/10 of a second on that lap. See the car kind of get airborne across that crest. This is such a difficult track. Can see these drivers just have their hands full trying to keep it straight. Jeremiah Vincent back here in the back half of the field, just doing his best to run it. Nicholas Camp still in the pit lane. Gavin Stanball on the downhill section here. Just keeping as close as he can to those walls, doing the best out of it, best at it out of these drivers. A little bit of chaos on that downhill section. Jeremiah Vincent getting loose. Jeremy Kitchen running into him. Not sure what caused that. Gavin Stanball continuing to run away with this. 2:11.7 on that last lap. A full second faster than Gregory Bush. Wesley Dunphy cuts another 4/10 off of his gap to Greg for second. Looks like that battle will start to heat up. We are going to start seeing possible pit cycles starting soon. You can hear Gavin really working that throttle in order to keep the car straight. It's one of the tricks of these cars with that posi rear end and how difficult it is to get these cars to turn in. You really have to load up your outside tire in order to make it work. Gavin doing a good job of doing that as we've got so much elevation change through that downhill section. Gavin does a very good job at controlling it. Worked all year in order to gain these skills. Like we said, racing at tracks like Mid-Ohio with all the elevation change, or tracks like Zandvoort where you're going into a corner and it's compressing and you're working so hard. Now coming to a track like this that has the walls like Long Beach has. Such a difficult track to get a handle on, such a difficult track to really work. Looks like Jeremiah Vincent is still on track. Probably got some good damage from that accident that we had. Gregory Bush sets his fastest lap of the race at 2:12.137. That'll shrink his gap a little bit. No, it'll still grow as Gavin Stanball continuing to run 2:11s. So it looks like his qualifying time of a 2:10 wasn't a fluke. He really can run that speed. Now running a 2:11 consistently. The only driver to be able to run it. Wesley Dunphy has a big mistake. Ends up running a 2:18. That drops him all the way off. No, I believe he is in the pit lane. We've seen this all year from Wesley Dunphy. Undercuts on pit cycle. It has worked out almost every time for him. We're going to see if it works out today. Plenty of time to run it. We're going to see the leaderboard shake up a little bit as Jeremiah Vincent and Jeremy Kitchen cross the finish line. We will see a little bit of a shake up in the standings, but not going to be enough to matter. Wesley Dunphy only losing 6 seconds on that, plus the amount of time it's going to take to pit. He's going to pop out right behind Jeremy Kitchen. See Wesley Dunphy getting onto this straight. See how well he does on cold tires and see if he can fight off into this run. We'll keep an eye on Gavin Stanball and Gregory Bush, see if they decide to pit now or if they decide to try to run it a little bit long. Only one set of tires for these drivers, but fuel is what really comes into play. Pitting early, you can get there on fuel. The only thing is trying to make your tires last to the end, but trying to run it a little bit long, you really only have enough fuel to do 1 or 2 extra laps, so we'll see how that plays out for these drivers. Gavin Stanball continuing to run fast times. A little bit of an off track for Gregory Bush back there, but he's still pushing. He ran his fastest lap of the race last lap. Gavin Stanball has decided to enter the pits, so we'll stay on board with Wesley Dunphy and see how close he can get. Looks like Gregory Bush is also going to pit the way that number is rolling through the front stretch. I believe that's going to be a pit cycle for him. That is. So we'll see how close Wesley Dunphy can get and if he can make this a good challenge for the lead. These drivers are fairly close in skills, so we'll see if Wesley Dunphy can really fight it. He will also have the opportunity his tires will already be warmed up, while these drivers entering back onto the track are going to have cold tires. They're going to have to work on fighting and trying to hold off Wesley Dunphy. On a track like this, it is a little bit more difficult because of how tricky the track is. Wesley Dunphy coming up for this last straight before the main straight. Gavin Stanball going to exit. There's going to be about a 4 or 5 second difference between the two drivers. See if Gregory Bush pops out. Wesley Dunphy doing a beautiful job at running a lap on cold tires. That lap time shows a 3:05, but that does add in the pit time. He's right up on Gregory Bush. Gregory Bush going to jump in. Jeremiah Vincent in front of Wesley Dunphy. Jeremy Kitchen right in front of Wesley Dunphy. Jeremy Kitchen is Wesley's teammate, so it's going to be a matter of him letting him through in order to go battle Gregory Bush. This battle for second is really going to heat up. Gavin Stanball, though, running out to a good lead. He was actually 3 seconds faster on his in-lap into the pits than Wesley Dunphy, so we'll see how that comes into play. And it looks like the in-lap for Gregory Bush was actually pretty rough, so that 4 seconds that Wesley gained on Gregory Bush is going to be enough for him to make this battle. Jeremy Kitchen gets out of the way, and now Wesley Dunphy is going to try to chase down Gregory Bush heading up the hill. They're going to crest the hill, ready to head down the section. He's going to have to put in some fast laps in order to make the pass on Gregory Bush. We'll see how fast Wesley Dunphy, a 3:05 on his cold tire lap. We'll see how fast Gavin Stanball and Gregory Bush are on their cold tire lap. It's one of those things. How brave do you want to be with your cold tire lap? Do you want to burn the tires up already? Do you want to take the chance of spinning it out? Do you want to set a fast lap? Let's see what you got. Drivers completing this final 2 straights. Gavin Stanball 1 second slower on his outlap than Wesley Dunphy, so there is a 1 second difference in gain there. We'll see as they come across the line where they're going to finish out. Jeremy Kitchen entering the pits. No, Jeremy Kitchen continuing to run it. The gap now from Wesley to Gregory Bush has shrunk down to 2 seconds. Gregory Bush actually had the fastest outlap of all of them, so that's what's holding Wesley Dunphy off. Doing a very good job on cold tires of continuing to run. Less than half an hour to go in this race. These drivers are continuing to push. Wesley Dunphy is the type of driver that's going to want every position he can. Even though he's got the championship locked up, you know he's going to want something out of this. Wesley Dunphy a little bit loose all over the crest right there, turning the car in, using the hop in order to turn it in. Getting ready to head down the downhill section, pushing all the time. You can see Gregory Bush right in front of his windshield. Through the S's, Wesley Dunphy really taking some risk, getting as close as he can to those walls. We've seen Gavin Stanball, that's what's been so fast for him. That red wall, the closer to it you are, the faster you can go. Looks like Wesley Dunphy goes ahead and gives up a little bit there.
Hey, will you guys yell at me when you take the white somebody so I can go out on track?
Nicholas Camp deciding it's worth coming into the end of this just to keep from getting a DNF. their first fast laps after going into the pit cycle. Wesley Dunphy runs his fastest lap of the race at 2:11.9. That'll shrink his gap to Gregory Bush, although Gregory Bush ran a 2:12.178. Gavin Stanbaugh continuing to put on a clinic at 2:11.3. Jeremiah Vincent on his out lap runs a 2:26. Jeremy Kitchen a 2:19. Wesley Dunphy just pushing as hard as he can to try to catch up to Gregory Bush. This gap, really a big gap, a 2-second gap, but on a track like this, it's pretty much nothing. You see how close they are on that downhill section. So easy to ruin either one of their races right now. Just a wall tap could ruin it and then end up making the pass. So far, we've only seen bumps and scrapes of the wall from our top three. We've seen a couple bigger accidents in the back half of the field, but those top three really making the push. Sounds like we got Gregory Bush a little bit into the dirt section right there. We've seen him a couple times get a little aggressive and end up touching into that dirt. It is a one way to end up making a little bit of an improvement on your lap time, but it can hurt you in the long run. Runs a 2:12.1. Wesley Dunphy slows down to a 2:12.2, so the gap going to increase by 0.1 seconds. Gavin Stanbaugh sets another fast lap time of 2:10.786. There is no way anybody's going to beat that. He has been the only one able to run lower than the 2:11s. Putting on an absolute clinic tonight. Gavin Stanbaugh, it is his race to lose as we continue to watch this battle heat up for Gregory and Wes. These two drivers continuing to fight. Got another 22 minutes left in this race. Wesley really trying to make something out of it as you see how close he's pushing, but I don't know that it's going to be enough to chase down Greg. Greg doing a good job of keeping consistent in that low 212s right now. Wes has jumped back and forth in the high 211s to 212s. He's going to need to run closer to the mid 211s in order to make some gain on Greg if Greg doesn't make a large mistake. Continuing to push through there. A little bit of dirt already on that section of track. Coming into this left-hander before the main straight. Crossing the start-finish, Gregory Bush runs his fastest lap of the race at 2:12.125. Wesley Dunphy at 2:12.177. So Gregory Bush faster by about 5 thousandths of a second. These two drivers putting on as hard a work as they can. Not really able to chase down Gavin Stanbaugh as long as Gavin keeps it clean. We see Gavin for a second there really still pushing through the lap. Ran a 2:11.7 that lap, but still continuing to push. No one really close. Got that gap to second all the way up to 16 seconds. It's his race to lose at this point. Gregory Busch continuing to push through here. He does seem to be the faster driver on the downhill. Wesley Dunphy just not taking the risk that Gavin and Greg are taking. Able to run faster in some of the other sections, including the uphill and that final chicane, but not enough on this downhill section where the time really can add up. You see them full speed over that hit back into the chicane section. Like we said, Wes is a little bit faster through here, but Gregory Busch putting enough of a gap between him and Wes in the sections before that it doesn't really seem to come into play. If Wes is going to make the pass, it'll probably be coming into or out of that chicane on that lap. It'll just be a matter of how many laps does it take him to get close enough to make that pass. He's got, a big mistake from Wesley Dunphy. Locks it up in order to miss the wall. That is going to ruin his chances more than likely of chasing down Gregory Busch. Gregory Busch does lose half a second on that lap time. Looks like Wesley Dunphy had a pretty fast lap put together for that one as he spins it right over the finish. Ends up running a 2:12.9. We see Gavin Stamball run his first 2:12 of the race.
Breathe easy there, number 4.
Wesley Dunphy letting Greg know that he doesn't need to worry anymore, that now Wes is pretty much out of contention for that fight. Going to be a pretty smooth race as long as no drivers make any large mistakes for our final 20 minutes here. We'll let the driving pretty much speak for itself as they continue to run. Gavin Stamball keeping it clean going into that chicane. We're going to see a clear view that far ahead of Gregory Busch to where the camera doesn't even give him a chance to catch up. This is definitely Gavin Stamball's race to lose. He's going to need to make a mistake probably larger than what we saw Wesley Dunphy make on that last lap in order for it to have any chance. Gregory Busch just trying to keep it clean for that second place finish, although if he can't pass Gavin Stamball, that third place finish is out of reach for him. Gavin Stamball, a little bit of a nudge across the wall there. We've seen him tap that sectional wall 3 or 4 times now. Continuing to hurt him in the long run. Continuing to keep it on the low 212s though. Nobody else really running that close. Gregory Busch is about 0.4 of a second behind per lap time. And you're seeing that lead grow by almost half a second per lap. 16 minutes left to go in this race. That is going to matter. Jeremiah Vincent runs his fastest lap of the race at 2:14.091 as he catches up to Jeremy Kitchen again. He's going to pass him on this back straight. Jeremy Kitchen has been struggling at this track tonight, putting in his best work. This isn't really a track that features his driving style. He does like to drive a little bit on the loose side, as you can see him getting loose coming out of that corner. And this is not a track where you can afford to continuously be loose. As you see the damage on his car, looks like Jeremiah Vincent did get the front end fixed on his pit lap. Now out there trying to push some lap times in. We see the difference in Wesley Dunphy's spin out there at 2:17.540. That 3-second gap has increased it to a 7-second gap now for Gregory Bush. Gavin Stanball continuing to put down fast laps at 2:12.784, so he is dropping down a little bit of time, but doesn't have too much to worry. Unless he can drop a lot, Gregory Bush is going to have to pull off a miracle to gain this 16 seconds. Jeremiah Vincent 1 lap down from Wesley Dunphy. Doing a good job in that second half of the field, though, keeping it clean now that he's been back out of the pit cycle. Starting to put a little bit of a gap to Jeremy Kitchen, as we saw how loose Jeremy Kitchen was getting out here. Coming through that downhill section, and we've seen him multiple times do, just getting so close to the wall, putting on a clinic of how close you can actually get. The next time he goes on that, I think we're going to go to a far chase, just so that way we can see how close and what a clinic he's putting on, how many chances he's taking, but making it work. The amount of skill it takes to be clean through that downhill section is amazing. If you ever get a chance to watch these guys run this track in real life, they just finished last week running it. They run a 24-hour race here, switch off multiple drivers per car, and it is seriously a skill level from those real-life drivers that these drivers are just trying to emulate as best they can in this sim series. So we see Gavin Stanball crossing the line again, because seeing that gap continue to grow back to Gregory Bush. Gavin put down a 2:12.364 that lap, so did bring down the time. He was losing a little bit of time each lap, and now shrinking it back down. Gregory Bush across the line with a 2:12.4, not enough to make any gains. And now Wesley Dunphy will cross the line with a 2:12.0. Actually, a little bit of an improvement in that gap there, but I don't believe it's going to be enough. With only 12 laps to go, we're only going to see about 5 or 6 laps, depending on where it falls. So that's probably not going to be enough unless Gregory Bush makes a mistake for Wesley Dunphy to pass for that second place position. Gregory Bush right now just waiting and hoping for a mistake from Gavin Stanball up in that first place and hoping that Greg can capitalize on it. But right now it's looking like Gavin Stanball running away with this is going to keep him in third place in our points championship. I believe the way that it falls right now, Wesley Dunphy has locked up our points series championship. When we interview him, we will congratulate him on that again. A lot of work went into making this series happen. Wesley Dunphy did a lot of the planning, and it looks like this year his main goal of getting a trophy is completed, as he's going to bring home a first place trophy. Congratulations to him. We'll thank him for putting on this show and making it happen for these drivers to come out and showcase their skills. He's worked so hard to make it happen, and now able to capitalize on it, going to take a trophy home. Gregory Bush going to be just out of that trophy position in fourth place. That's got to be a heartbreaking situation for him, watching Gavin Stanball continue to just run away with this. I know how hard he worked this year, even pulling in one win. Not enough to be able to make anything out of it. Just struggling in the long run. It's like Gregory Bush had a little bit of a bobble there as Wesley Dunphy kind of takes some of the gap off in that chicane section in that last part before the finish line. Gregory Bush comes in, yeah, lost about a half a second on that lap. Wesley Dunphy capitalized on it, runs a 2:11.292. The only other driver to run a 2:11 today other than Gavin Stanball. Gavin Stanball, though, at a 2:11.9. So Wesley Dunphy is bringing that gap back down, now down to 5.8 seconds. It was about 7 seconds just 2 laps ago. Wesley Dunphy trying to make a chance, seeing if he can put some pressure on Gregory Bush to see if he makes a mistake. Gregory Bush doing a good job of keeping a level head and running up this hill. We'll jump to Gavin Stanball and see just how close he's getting to these walls on this downhill section. Swinging it through these S's. Getting real close to that right-hand wall, back over, kind of losing in there, getting a little bit loose in the rear end. Going to get all the way close to this red wall to the left, back over to the right, back into the left, and then hard left hand back onto this main straight. He has done the best job of running that way today. Wesley Dunphy continuing to try to chase down Gregory Bush. That track map, you can see the difference run there.
Wrecking the S's.
It's like Jeremiah Vincent gets a little loot. No, Jeremy Kitchen actually wrecks in the S's. Coming down the hill, pretty large mistake there. He's having a rough day with that car. He hears somebody off in the dirt. Wesley Dunphy continuing to shrink that gap to Greg. Hard into this left-hander onto the start-finish line. Gregory Bush runs a 2:13.9, losing another second. Wesley Dunphy continues to run in the 2:11, so the gap now down to 3.7 seconds. We've only got about 3 or 4 laps left, though, in this race. Oh, just as we say it, Wesley Dunphy, a huge mistake. Falls out, spins out, and going to be back. Now have to get back on track. That is going to ruin his chances of chasing down Gregory Bush. Now that I believe these positions are going to stay the way they are. We've only got 4 or 5 laps left in this race. Wesley Dunphy trying to recover from that huge mistake. That is heartbreaking for him, although he knows he's got the championship locked up, so it's really not that big of a deal. Beautiful run by Gavin Stanball, continuing to click off laps. Now down to a 2:12.9 on that last lap, but still 1 second ahead on lap time of Gregory Bush. So these drivers start to lose a little bit of traction on these tires. This is a little bit longer run than they dealt with on the first half of the race, but now just a matter of trying to keep it clean to the end. Gavin Stanball hopefully didn't burn his tires up running that 2:10.7. What a beautiful run by him. Apparently not. Runs a 2:11.3 that lap. More than likely growing his gap back to Gregory Bush. Really putting on some hard work. Looks like Jeremy Kitchen and Jeremiah Vincent both have mistakes back there hitting the wall. Gavin Stambaugh down that first straight. Full speed, hard into that braking zone. Going up that hill. Continuing to make it work as he gets a little bit loose, starting to struggle for grip. 5.5 minutes left in this race. Let's see if he can hold it together. Unless he makes a large mistake, it's going to work out for him. Gregory Bush that lap did run a 2:12 flat, so going to be happy about that. But still, Gavin Stambaugh's fastest lap, a 1.5 seconds faster than that. Gavin kind of burning it up a little bit, though. Hopefully he can make these tires last to the end. This is a very tricky circuit, and this downhill can really hurt you if you don't have the grip. You can see continuing how to get so close to those walls, though. Continuing to make the most out of these lap times. Such a tricky car to get right when the tires are good, but when the tires are cooked this much, it's such a hard car to control. Getting onto this long straight. Gavin Stambaugh clicking off another lap. We have 4 minutes left in our race. Wesley Dunphy had a really large shunt. You can see how much it hurt. He ran a 2:25. Still waiting on Gregory Bush. That big of a gap back to second place. Waiting for him to click off another lap. Getting loose, getting to the outside, Gavin Stambaugh, but still keeping the times down. Gregory Bush, that lap really fell off at 2:14.166, so the gap now almost 22 seconds. Drivers now just trying to keep it as clean as possible to try to finish this race. Gavin Stambaugh getting a little loose, headed out to that outside, but still putting in fast laps. A little bit of dirt kicked up on the track there. Gavin Stambaugh through the chicane now. A little bit onto the dirt there. We've seen a lot of drivers dip their tire right there. Using the curb to get the car turned back over. Hard in this braking zone into the start-finish straight. Crosses the line at 2:12.9, so dropping a 1.5 seconds off his time, but not too big of a deal. Continuing to push the times. Gregory Bush still not even crossed the line. This massive gap between them. Gregory Bush comes across a 2:14.0, cuts a little bit of time off his last lap, but not going to be enough to matter. It is Gavin Stambaugh's race to lose here. All he's got to do is complete this lap and keep it clean. Gregory Bush continuing to push. Wesley Dunphy in third. Jeremiah Vincent falling back quite a bit, but not doing too bad. Keeping the lap times down to a 2:16. This is our last race of this season. We will have in the summer season more details on that to come, but we will end up having a summer season, still trying to settle the details of that. Wesley Dunphy doing a great job of preparing seasons for us to run. He did so much work the last few years running different leagues, broadcasting them, and working behind the scenes to make it happen. Now he's going to end up pulling together, ending up getting himself a trophy this year. Going to bring home the first place trophy for championship points. As you see, Nicholas Camp's going to come out just to finish the last lap of the race. Gavin Stanball coming across down this main straight. He's just got to keep it clean here. This is for the win. Going to bring home a second win of the season. Sure, he's going to be excited about that. Congratulations to Gavin Stanball on his second win of the year. Gregory Bush will pull in second. That's going to push him back to fourth place in the points standings. Wesley Dunphy coming in third. That'll keep him in first in the points standings. And Nicholas Camp will take second in points standings. Congrats to our drivers tonight. We will let them finish a cool down lap. Then we'll check our point standings to make sure it's official. Say thank you to our sponsors, Kitchin Motorsports, Ducklings Nails, and Realm Resin of Ohio. Thank you for your support to make this season happen. Congratulations to our drivers and how well they did this year.
Where do you want all of us to park, Wes?
Start finish.
Looks like they're going to head to start finish line for a little bit of a photo opportunity.
I'm only in second gear.
Good win, Gavin.
Thank you.
Jeremiah Vincent crossing the line in fourth. Jeremy Kitchen just ahead of them, but actually in fifth place.
It was a great battle all race too, Greg.
Yeah, I started making mistakes. We were closing the gap, and then I was pushing it on a lap. That was probably like half a second time gain, and I smacked that blue wall there.
A little bit of commentary from our drivers congratulating each other and how they ran.
Gavin was gone with the win.
Give him the ball.
These drivers are going to park for a little bit of a photo opportunity. We've seen our normal after-race shenanigans for this league. All these drivers are friends trying to work together, and they do work together outside of these races to try to help each other get better in these series.
We're doing pictures at the end.
Go do your burnout, driver.
Gavin Stanball going to quickly do a burnout here on our start-finish line.
Just remember to keep your car clean for the photo. I think Wes should really be also doing burnouts with him as the champion. Yeah, I will. Gregory Bush and Gavin make contact.
Let me show you how to do a burnout, guys.
I'm watching.
I gave you a little tush goosh.
All right, let's get lined up for a shot.
You want us up against the pit wall, or what do you want to do?
Just hit the grid spot. Hey, asshole, we're trying to line up here.
I'm trying to get turned around.
Doing a double check right now as these drivers kind of celebrate a little bit on our final point standings. Wesley Dunphy does lock up first place, 3,177 points. That's 4 wins, an average start of second and an average finish of second. Nicholas Camp, 0 wins this year, ends up with 3,000 points, an average start of third and average finish of third. Gavin Stanball gets his second win of the year, average start of third, average finish of fourth. That'll keep him in third with 2,901 points. And our fourth place finisher, kind of a hard break for him, 2,857 points. He does have 1 win, but an average finish and start of 4th place. That'll do it here for us tonight. Thank you for watching. Thanks to our sponsors. Have a good night.
Keep going. You gotta be like next to me. I see your dot. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Come on. More. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, well.
Guys look pretty.
You like it?
What do you fucking... I'd fuck me. Now everybody do a burnout all at once. Are we gonna jump the hill?